I even interested in some of these books that are on my shelves? Hi everyone, my name is Julie. This is Keep Calm with Books and Coffee, and today we're going to be doing a little bit of a project. I have a lot of books on my shelves that I've had for a while, and some of them are YA. Even some of them, when I sort them by category on Storygraph, more of them are YA than I think they are. So I am going to go through some of those and try to read them, try the first couple of chapters, or the first however much of the book, and see if I like the writing style, if it seems like something that still appeals to me, if I want to keep it on my shelves or not. Kind of just do a quick try not quite try a chapter, but something similar, because I'm just gonna kind of sample these books and either keep them on my shelves or put them on the unhaul pile. And this is slightly inspired by Kayla over at Books and Lala, because she is the one who sampled all of the first chapters of her books and kind of rated them. I'm not doing that part, but I did try all of these just to see if I'm still interested or not. So let's jump to me doing that. Hello, so I have my first experiment into this project, and I don't think this is YA. I actually think this is adult, but this is something I had heard mixed things about, so I picked it up along with a couple of YAs this morning, and I read the first 2 chapters. It was 15 pages maybe, and I don't like this. I don't like the writing style. I wasn't too sure on the description, and I think I've heard a couple of my friends dislike it, and I just couldn't get along with the writing style, so this one's out. Right off the bat, this one's out. Okay, my next pick was The Dark Days Club by Alison Goodman. This should be something I like, or it should have been something I like, because it's Victorian set, it has a paranormal element, but the first chapter, I don't like the writing style. Don't like it. I feel like I've read this book before, which isn't the book's fault, but I don't feel like I want to read it again. It feels like if you mixed Clockwork Angel with something else, but it doesn't appeal to me. After reading a couple of chapters, I just am not interested. The main character feels like every other main character I've read in a YA Victorian novel, where she wants to escape and she is too sharp-tongued and all of that, so this one's going to be a no-go. Next is going to be Belladonna. Okay, so I did read the first chapter of Belladonna, actually the prologue, and this one gets to stay. This one was very fascinating. I'm very curious about what's happening. Then I also picked up Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson, another one that feels a little typical YA, but I only read from the early perspective. I think this is a little timeline, so I read that one and it was interesting enough that I want to keep going, so this one is also staying. Okay, so this was the next one I picked up, which I have tried to read before and DNF'd softly, because I thought it was the audiobook that was the problem, but I can't get into it. And this could very easily just me being in a mood, because I want to get rid of things, but I'm also just not interested. This had so much hype around it so long ago, but I haven't heard anything about it recently, which is the cycle of BookTube and everything, but also it's not something that stayed with people and they kept hyping it up, so I'm just not super interested in it, and I think I'm gonna give up on this. I have the entire series. I have Serpent and Dove, I have Blood and Honey, and I have Gods and Monsters, and I am still learning the lesson that I shouldn't buy these books before I pick them up, before I read the first book. So this is one that might be off to the side, and I might try it in a few days because I'm really in the mood to clean things out, and I might still enjoy this if I give it another chance, but it's almost a certainty that this one's going. Hello, so I am powering through these faster than I thought I would, but like I said, I'm in a mood to clean out. So I read the beginning of These Hollow Vows by Lexi Ryan. This is another one that I'm just not jiving with the writing style, and it feels very similar to things I've read before in a way that I'm not super into. This is about a human girl who I think it's like fantasy romance with fae, but it's a YA book, and for me, I'm just not feeling it. It feels a little bit like if you took Throne of Glass and made her human so far. So it's just not doing it for me. Maybe I need to find some books. These are the books that have been on my shelf for a while that I am going through. So obviously I haven't been super interested in them, but I'm realizing that there's a reason I wasn't feeling them. So I'm putting a lot on the unhaul pile. This one is staying. Very interesting first chapter, as well as a writing style that I'm really interested in, and like intrigue right off the bat. So 3 things that make me want to say, I can say. Hello everyone. So it's later, obviously the lighting has changed, and I'm really not sure if it's me or the books at this point, because this book is definitely not YA, but I picked it up and I started reading it and I just was like, you know, this cover doesn't really grab me. The premise didn't really grab me. I got this as like a grab bag book at my local indie, and it's just not grabbing me. So do I even like to read at this point is the question, because I did read, I put them back. The Drowning Summer Girls and The Left-Handed Bookseller of London, and I liked both of those enough to put them back on the shelf and be interested, but this one was a no. So I haven't read any Tessa Bailey before, I don't think, but it's something about this cover that I don't like, and I'm like, the cover and the description were enough to get it into my house in that grab bag, but it's not enough to keep it here, apparently. This is a weird project. I didn't expect to do so much of it today, but I'm doing so much of it today because I'm in the mood to clean out, and it's just, some things are not staying, apparently. Okay, after some more reading, these 3 are going to be keepers: Ember of the Ashes, Furyborn, and All of Our Hidden Gifts. So these 3 are going to be keepers. They were intriguing, interesting, I liked the writing style, and they didn't seem like things that I had read before. We have one more for the unhaul pile today, Angel Mage by Garth Nix. I auto-bought this because I love the Old Kingdom series by Garth Nix, but after reading like the prologue and then like a little bit more and kind of reading the description again, I'm not super interested. So I should not have auto-bought this. It's pretty, just doesn't appeal anymore. So I think I've had a revelation about this book. So through this project, I've been picking up books that I have bought recently and I'm interested in or not interested in, and I keep putting this book off, thinking, oh, I'll get to it, I'll read it when the second book is like close to coming out. I actually don't think I'm interested in reading this book. I have loved Tamora Pierce. Tamora Pierce is an author that is one of the foundational authors of my reading. Like, I read the Alana series in middle school, and it is the first series that I remember going back and checking out of the library multiple times and just continuing to read it and love it and keep going back to it. And I loved her Circle of Magic series, and that's another series that I love now, as well as the series that like is related to this one, the Wild Magic series. But those are all very nostalgic reads, and some of the books that I have read from her recently have not been as formative and as impactful to me as a reader. And that's partially me being an adult. Like, I'm not a young adult anymore, so I am not as inclined towards young adult books, and she's writing to young adults. Like, she continues to write for them, and that's totally fine. But I think after like thinking about this book, I don't think I'm interested. I don't think I care, which makes me a little sad, and like makes me a little it makes it like sad is the word. It's not like I want to let go of this book, but I think I have to. Like, I'm not really interested in reading it, and I'm not tempted by it. I just keep putting it off because the second book isn't coming. I've had some people tell me that, you know, you can read it as a standalone, but one of my best friends, who she and I like compare books all the time, told me that she thinks that this book feels incomplete. So I'm not sure who to believe, and I'm also sort of like, do I care about Numera's story? This wasn't something that was ever like on my list of stories that I wanted to get from her. I was much more interested in other characters that came up and how they came into their magic, as well as just like what happened in their lives. And Numera was someone who was on the very like end of that list. So I'm wondering, do I care enough to keep this and read it? I don't think so. I think this is possibly going to be an unhaul. I'm going to think about it a little longer, just because it is from a favorite author, but I think it's going to go. Okay, so we have our last bit. I think these are the last ones that I'm going to include in this project. So I have Mortal Follies by Alexis Hall, which I am going to like DNF, unhaul, whatever, because this writing style is weird. I think a friend of mine said it best when she said that, you know, when you read a romance, you expect to be reading from the point of view of one of the characters that's in the romance, because you want to feel the pining, you want to feel the, you know, everything that's going on. And this is it's from first person, but it's from an outsider's point of view. Like someone is telling this story to us from the outside about these two characters, and I just didn't like it. I just did not like it. I am going to keep My Plain Jane, which I almost unhauled once before and decided to keep. So I'm going to keep it because I think I can get the audiobook, and I'm going to try that soon. I am going to keep The Dead and the Dark by Courtney Gould, which I believe is a sapphic horror YA, which sounds really interesting, and the writing style is interesting so far. And then the other is The Devouring Grey by Christina Lynn Herman. This might be one that I end up, I'm not quite sure about this one because it sounds a lot like The Luminaries, but I'm not sure. And I don't want to compare those two books, but I would like to read them both this fall. So we'll see if I read this and if I stick with it. But for now, it is interesting enough to stay. But that's everything for this little project. I will put my stats here for what I ended up unhauling. I think it was 10 books I decided to let go of for various reasons, and I count that as a big success because I just really wanted to kind of clear some books off my shelves. I've been collecting a lot lately, and I just realized I am not as interested as I thought I was in some of the books that I have purchased that are, not all of these were YA. I'm not hating on YA, I just do not reach for it nearly as much as I used to. So I wanted to kind of reduce it down to the books that I was really interested in. So hopefully these are those, and I will reach for them soon. But that is it for me today. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any thoughts or feelings or want to share anything about this down below, please let me know. If you're not feeling chatty, just leave me a leaf emoji because I'm really trying to manifest fall. It is really hot here again today, and I keep hoping that it will be cooler. But that's it for me today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!